Welcome back to the Front Page Saturday Town Hall Edition, weekly right here. Our topic today, back to school, back to what to expect and how to prepare. Love to hear from you, 520-KJLH, 520-5554. Just add your area code. I want to acknowledge some sad anniversaries tomorrow. Of course, the anniversary of the killing of Mitrice Richardson, still an unsolved case, and the anniversary of the killing of Michael Brown. Just young people who, are in my thoughts today, in my prayers today, in my activism today, as we address back to school, back to what. And I really want to thank our sponsors, Supervisor Mark Ridley Thomas of the 2nd District, the City of Los Angeles, Community Build, the Independent Professionals Association at indiework.org, and Council President Emeritus Herb Wesson Jr. We are being joined now by yet another important voice in this conversation. As we discuss and unpack how to best handle our new school year. He's a professor and executive director at Loyola Marymount University XR Wizards Lab. He's been a professional 2D animator on MTV, Beavis and Butthead, King of the Hill, The Simpsons, a media arts consultant, and he's now working on helping with online educational programs. Eric Elder, good morning. Hey,
good morning. How are you?
Good. Thanks for checking in. There's a lot to unpack. And, your expertise. First of all, tell me about what you're doing. You're working with the Compton School District to upgrade their online learning experience. What are some of the challenges and some of the great ideas that are, coming forth through that process?
Yeah, well, for a long time, we've been interested in developing media programs, specifically a video game pathway. Again, we only represent blacks 1% working in the video game industry, but we consume and play more video games than any other racial group. So there's a big disparity there. And so I know this is something I've put a lot of energy in, having conversations and figuring out the best way to educate our young people to not just play games, but to, be a part of the industry professionally. There's already been some great things like an initiative through esports has been a way to really get the attention of young people and get them involved in tournaments. And then through the esports, having, industry professionals come in, ideally professionals that look like them, to come in and talk to them about the different careers, and give them advice on how they could get started getting into the industry.
Right. But I'm reading study upon study that's saying just because a kid knows how to play a game or even code does not mean they know how to navigate the online educational system that we're asking them to deal with right now.
Absolutely. So what I'm working on right now with Compton Unified is I've partnered with Epic Games. They have an amazing program that anybody can apply for and encourage people that have ideas or they're interested. Just Google Epic Mega Grants. They've set aside $100 million to devote to educational programs. Even if you have a game idea, you can apply for this grant. And we've received one to start this program that will help aid training the young people on the Unreal game engine so that they can start to get the experience that they need. And, this actually hasn't been the case in Compton Unified. They've actually been very progressive about getting high-end computers. But part of the process that we're doing here is we're actually testing a new virtual laptop solution on Google Chromebooks. So very low-tech computer, in a lot of areas, underserved areas, students don't have access to, very beefy gaming computers that can cost $2,000-$3,000 that are capable of running Unreal. So with this new solution that Epic has developed, you can access on a very, inexpensive, like $200, $300 Chromebook, A lot of the school districts have these computers already. My understanding is that they're buying more because of the need to,
yes,
educate online. And so again, not just for this purpose, learning on Unreal, but these virtual desktop solutions can be used for all types of educational opportunities that are, that need to be done remotely.
And if, for you as a parent, approaching this school year, what tips would you give other parents as how to do better or help your kid do better in, learning, accessing, and maximizing their results with distance learning?
Wow. Well, I mean, it really depends on what aspect of education you're dealing with. I mean, some things simply are just very difficult to replace. Really, I think it's the interactive. What everybody's trying to figure out is the interactive part. How do you? A lot of what students get trained in or what they learned when they're in the school environment is how to interact and how to deal with other people and different personalities and navigate through that. And so when you're, stuck at home with the same folks and, you just don't have that same type of access. So I think just really trying to figure out ways to get into environments and simulate that as much as possible. A lot of people are using Zoom calls. It's arguable if that's really appropriate for young people. But I mean, I think that's the biggest challenge we face right now is just figuring out how to have that interaction that we're missing, being with our peers, and interacting with different folks, on a regular basis.
Right. And what about the piece about, so many parents, and I'm starting with parents, even though kids also have this challenge, just don't have the tech skills to even handle the simplest, interaction online. Can you offer resources, ideas where people might get some basic training to be able to deal with this new distance learning reality?
Wow. Again, I just find like Google is the best kind of source. YouTube videos, just conducting searches to try to get the basic information on what you need. You definitely, I think, need to be able to, because it's just so pervasive right now. I know all of my work that I do professionally has gone to online conference calls. So I'm either using, the Google solution or Zoom or Microsoft Teams. So, I mean, these are pretty simple to use. Often it's just like a clickable button, but I mean, there are some features that you need to learn to navigate. And I think all that information is out there on a quick Google search or video.
Yeah, of course, we're assuming that people know how to do a quick Google search or a video, but most kids know how to do YouTube, so maybe they can help their parents. Yeah. I want to go to some of our phone calls, but I read somewhere that you're working on helping to gamify the online learning experience. So, what does that mean, and how would that work?
Sure. So gamification. First of all, that term has kind of gotten a bad rap because I think it was misused a lot over the last 4 or 5 years. But I mean, to me, gamification just means using game mechanics, using game design to encourage participation. And how I always approach when somebody comes to me, in consulting and wants to gamify something or add gamification to their process, I always start with, okay, well, in the very basic sense, what is it? What's the behavior that you want to encourage, right? So what do you want people to do or to engage more with, right? And then you create a simple system where, a point system where you give the person a certain amount of points for the thing that you want them to do. So let's just say, like, you want them to take a particular action in the game, you would give them, and you really want them to do it, you give them 100 points. And then if there's something else you want them to do that's maybe not as important, you give them 50 points. And you just basically start there. Also, like having a way to track the points through a scoreboard is great, so people can see how they're doing. And again, all different types of industries. There's lots of examples of how companies have used this, and just that simple visual that people get of having like a little health bar or scoreboard, and that they're gaining more of something is really encouraging to people to see that kind of instant feedback. All the reward systems that you get for like buying coffee, or even 7-Eleven has one now, employ this type of system, and it's just been proven.
Yeah, makes sense. I mean, I watch my kid playing games. It's always, you got to get a flower or a level up, or you need some, whatever, minerals for, if it's Minecraft, whatever it is. So I can see how that would work. I was put in touch with a website called ravingfanculture.com, which teaches technology for all. So I want to just note that for parents and even teachers who are trying to get a little more technically savvy, ravingfanculture.com is a possibility. Want to go to the phone. My friend Renee Cole is on. She's also a legendary educator in South LA. Good morning, Miss Renee.
Good morning, family. How is everybody doing? I just actually woke up and started to hear some of the conversation. And anyone who's been in my program knows I'm a strong advocate for education and making sure the children are strong and ready for all the kind of things they're going to be faced with in this future. But I think where I start my concern is, I think as everybody tries to get back to what they presume to be the old normal in kind of altered state, I think that we have to really take a pause to make sure the kids are ready to learn. I mean, they've gone through and dealt with pandemics. They're dealing with families losing jobs. They're losing with all the other things that's going on in that household. And we're assuming that they're just going to step in, turn on, and just start to do their academics, not even taking into consideration all the remediation they're going to have to do, because for the 4 months or longer, they have more than likely they haven't been learning anything, and most of them kind of zoomed off on their different games they've been playing on, stuff like that, but they haven't really been doing probably a lot of academics. And so I think we really need to consider where is their mental state. Are they ready to do all of this? I agree that the classrooms are concerning, but I'm still fighting for them to get in the classrooms, but in very, very small enrollment, like maybe have 10 kids in a classroom or 7 kids. I mean, just very small. I was really fighting for the AM PM kind of school where you had the children come in maybe from 8 in the morning to maybe 12 or 1, and then you had another group come in possibly from 1 to 4. So you could split up the school day and split up the number of students actually physically in the classrooms and even on the campus of the school, but and stretch out the school week, maybe including maybe Saturday to give them some more time. But I know the kids are missing their friends, and I know that they're missing that interaction, and distant learning for the last 4 months hasn't been that successful for a lot of the kids, because a lot of the kids aren't tuning in, and the parents don't know how to help them. And some of the parents are still at the beginning, we're trying to work. So they're now trying to make sure their child is online and then go into maybe another room and do whatever they have to do online. So I want to just make sure the kids are just in a great state mentally to do this. And I don't think they are. And I think as we continue on through the pandemic and through the economic hard turns that many of their families and family friends are starting to deal with, I think we're overlooking the fact that they just are going to be okay. It's just like put this in the background and just move forward. I just don't see it without small.
Yeah, it's a great point.
Clusters.
It's a great point. Just, not to step over the part that our kids are traumatized and they have been dealing with academic setbacks. Appreciate hearing from you, Renee Cole. She's a founder of Dreamland. It's a small preschool in Los Angeles that has produced a lot of big and powerful students around the world. Appreciate you checking in with us and giving us your perspective.
Thank you so much, Dominique and family.
Eric Elder, do you want to comment on that? I mean, she's talking about, the social emotional preparedness, the remediation, and, I don't know if that's something you want to weigh in on. I know that the online learning piece is really your area of specialization.
Yeah, no, I just agree. Epic had a town hall meeting, to kind of talk about the technological aspects, and that's definitely something that came up. Is that we have to we can't deal with any of the aspects, including the technology, if we're not at least aware and thinking about how we can address the social and emotional impacts that the students have been having, dealing with all of this. So we have to factor that in. I agree.
Let's go to Big Seal calling us from Los Angeles. I so appreciate your patience. You're on the air.
Yes, good morning, Jumbo, keep them rise this morning.
Morning.
Good morning. How you doing, guys? I think it's not a wise idea to send the kids back to school. This virus is a very, very dangerous virus. I think you should stay in line with this virus. And, you got to understand that man created this and it's catastrophic. And I'm tired of hearing about that blacks only get it more than one. That's not true. It don't discriminate. They'll show you 3 or 4 white people died on TV. They died just like we died. Okay? So I'm going to land. So I'll just pray and hope kids do not go back to school to take our vaccine. I love you guys. So now, Big Phil.
Appreciate that. So Big Phil just wanted to say, he doesn't want kids to go back to school. I feel like the more successful we are with online learning, distance learning, the easier it is for us to continue. Right now we have no choice. It's just not safe. What are some of the things that you, Eric Elder, wish that school districts and teachers would consider in terms of, improving online learning?
Well, I think probably the biggest thing that I've heard, besides the actual, technology need or access, that the students and teachers have, to the technology itself, to the computers, and also high speed internet is really important as well. Is really support for the teachers. That's where, it's been difficult for everyone, but time and time again, what I've been hearing is that the teachers have not been prepared. They already, we've all heard the stories of teachers not having the support that they need, in a typical classroom situation, having, the books and supplies and handouts, and a lot of times them having to go into their own pockets. And now we have this whole other layer where they're having to try to figure out a lot of times on their own how to administer, a class online. And even if they, can figure that out, it still, takes a lot of effort to do it. And to get used to that system and how to manage it. So, I think that's one of the biggest things that we need right now is support for teachers. And I'd love to see, something done. It'd be great if some of these tech companies that have a lot of, resources could come together and see the need and find a way to get training and support for the teachers, like the actual training on how to conduct the classes, as well as, technical support whenever they run into trouble.
Georgia Flowers Lee just outlined how much time the teachers have spent training this summer, which I think is great. But I agree with you. Here we are in the, supposed land of all these tech geniuses. And here we are in an unprecedented crisis. All hands on deck. Let's throw some money at this problem. Let's throw some of your genius at this problem. All these technology folks, your kids are in these schools too. So let's figure this out, and all hands on deck. Absolutely agree with that. Let's go to Morris calling us from Long Beach. Good morning, Morris. Morris, are you with me? Guess we don't have Morris. Let's go to Eddie. Hi, Eddie. Good morning.
Good morning. John Vogt, thanks again for getting a opportunity to speak with everyone. I've been teaching in special education for the last 20 years, and gaming is a very big part of getting kids motivated to learn, to get excited about learning, to interact with each other. And I'm actually a young man who's speaking now. I created a system of riddles here. They're very difficult, and they're not easy, they're very difficult, but you have to use critical thinking skills. to solve these riddles. You can't Google the answer.
Okay,
No.
so
I want to know, how can I get access to a minority person to create an app? How do I get financing for that?
Interesting.
I want to introduce that as a game.
Okay, so Eddie has a game that he uses to teach his special ed kids. How would he get that? You know, he wants a POC owned company to develop it, and he wants to find money. How would he take it to the next step?
You know, again, I mentioned the mega grant, so it's a very simple process. If you check that out, you know, that's an application you could do. Probably also I might, you know, use LinkedIn as a resource. You know, just putting it out to the network. You know, I've seen this happen, you know, quite a bit and successful. Just put out there exactly what it is that you're looking for and ask for recommendations. You could also find me on LinkedIn and just search Eric T. Elder and send me a direct message, and I can put the word out as well and look for resources to support you with that. There's also I want to mention the IGDA has a special interest group, Blacks in Gaming, that are always looking to, you know, support the community with gaming resources as well. So,
excellent. I asked you what advice you would give to, you know, teachers and school districts about how to improve their experience. Now I want to ask you, what advice will you give to us parents and students about how to be better partners, about how to do a better job in learning remotely?
Yeah, I think, again, like I said, it's been difficult for everyone. But I think really at home, you know, the best we can do is really share the responsibility. Like, I'm really hearing, you know, families, you know, coming together and really working as a team, you know, not relying on just mom or just dad, because it is a lot to take on, and to really, you know, share the load. And also to, you know, as much as we support the young people, I mean, they are young, they do have a lot of energy, they are strong. So I think we really want to, you know, call on them as well, and really empower them in these situations. And again, a lot of times, you know, young people are kind of leading the way in the family, especially when there's much older people in terms of technology. So I think it's also an opportunity to not necessarily, you know, coddle kids in a way, but like I said, to really empower them and really, you know, listen into them, listen to what they need, but also listen to what they might already know in terms of technology, and
right.
and have them be part of the team to making the process as smooth and as healthy as possible.
Are these hotspots enough? I mean, I feel like I keep hearing about kids getting hotspots, and then I try to do things when I'm on my hotspot. It's just not the same as having a full-on, you know, fast Wi-Fi network.
Yeah, I mean, I think it depends on what you're doing. That's definitely something that we're dealing with as well. You know, what kind of internet connection is available. I think also, I don't have confirmation on this, but I would suspect that the internet is kind of being overloaded because everybody's at home. And I guess the companies are trying to keep up with it as best as possible. But I know I've had, you know, internet drops with my connection over the last couple of months that I didn't experience before. And I would
so just bear with it is pretty much our option at this point.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. I mean, you know, there's a couple of tools, like you can do searches to kind of test your speed and you know, call your provider and just make sure that there's like no particular issues. Like there's little checks you can do, but yeah, I think everybody's kind of dealing with the same thing. You just want to, you know, try to have the you know, fastest connection that you can to kind of deal with what we're dealing with.
Eric T. Elder, thank you so much for being with us this morning and sharing your thoughts and resources with us.
You're welcome. Thank you so much.
We'll have all of this stuff, or as much as possible, will be posted up at kjlhradio.com if you didn't get a chance to write stuff down as we're going along. Continuing our conversation, back to school, back to what? This whole town hall series being brought to you by 2nd District Supervisor Mark Ridley Thomas, the City of Los Angeles Community Build, the Independent Professionals Association at indiework.org, and Council President Emeritus Herb Wesson Jr. It's Radio Free 102.3 KJLH.